Yeah, you know, uh, these kinds of things, you can just feel uh, like the foundation. This where I feel like a foundation is being laid now to truly, truly outlaw raw milk. So you had high path avian influenza in chicken farms in Texas. And then they got into a CAFO dairy, a concentrated animal feeding operation, a confinement dairy nearby, apparently one of the chicken houses. And some of those cows got sold to, I think, Michigan and others in Wisconsin. Anyway, so now there are herds clear out of state with this high path avian influenza. And now the last thing that happened was 24 cats at that original confinement dairy have now died from drinking and drinking the milk at that dairy, and all the milk was raw. And you can just feel the narrative. You can just feel the oppressive narrative, and so I can tell you there are people in our circles, Cena, that are in the know, that are close to this, that are suggesting that this is the foundation being laid to actually prohibit the drinking of raw milk, because herd shares are coming in, states. This is not federal, has not has dug in its heels on raw milk, but states are just one after another passing raw milk bills of different kinds, whether it's you can milk 3 cows and sell the milk, whether it's you can register at pet food not for human consumption. There are numerous things that are being done at the state level. And I'm just going to say that right now as we speak, the raw milk movement is gaining steam, gaining power, gaining momentum, and the anti-raw milk people are starting to become unglued, apoplectic.
Wait, and so when you say, so the states are getting involved, so federal's been against the raw milk, and
Yep.
now you're saying states, are they coming to the defense and they're passing laws to
Oh
help
yeah.
people have, okay, so when the part about the herd shares, do you mean there's more states that are saying you can have herd
Yes.
shares?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Her all of the raw milk legalization and whatever exemptions and loopholes, um, all of those are coming at the state level. And you and I, we believe in states' rights. In other words, we don't think there should be any federal rule regarding milk. None. Period. Just that's not. In other words, I think we would agree that even the food laws are not a federal. They're not a federal jurisdiction. They're not given by the Constitution. It's not a uh, food safety, food protection is not an enumerated federal power in the Constitution. It's a state issue.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, because the federal constitutionally only can regulate the interstate commerce, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Things that cross
right.
the state line.
Right. That's right. Things that cross the state line, and but not only that, but the federal is limited by what's called the enumerated powers. In other words, the Constitution says, here's what the federal can do, this, and this, and anything that we fail to mention here, they can't. That's called the whatever, the enumerated powers clause. And so the federal can only intervene in things that have been given to it by the Constitution. Now, you and I know that they have penetrated, they've overrun that boundary on a host of things, but that's where we are. And there's a huge a war going on in this arena of self-determination, food freedom. Do I have the right to choose my food or not? And as a farmer, do I have the right to sell my food to somebody who, as a consenting adult, wants to engage in a transaction with me? And so I can I just my sense right now is that the food freedom movement is on the move. It's on the move right now. And goodness, I mean these homestead things that are popping all over the country. There's oodles of them, and they're attended by thousands of people. These aren't little 300-person conferences. These are, I mean, this weekend I'll be in Colorado this week. Next weekend in Tennessee for the Homestead Festival in Tennessee. They'll have, I don't know what, 6, 7, 8,000 people there. These are huge things. And so what happens when Gandhi said at first they ignore you, and then they discredit you, and then they fight you, and then you win. That's the stages of societal, whatever, policy evolution. And so, raw milk was ignored as it's nothing. And then there's been a massive effort to discredit it. Now we're in the fight stage. They are really, really fighting this at the federal level. And according to Gandhi, the next stage is we win. So I'm watching for that. But the win is not easily won. And so many of us looking at this escalating thing with the high path avian influenza, then into the cows, into the raw milk, into the dead cats. If there's one thing that people can't stand, it's dead cats. Dead cats, big problem. Okay. So this is, you just kind of feel the narrative clinching here. So that's interesting. And it's interesting in light of a couple other things that have just come out in the last couple of weeks. One huge one was Chick-fil-A announcing that their pledge that was, I don't know how many years ago this was made. I should have looked it up, but I'm going to say probably 8 years ago, they made a pledge that within 10 years, they would be antibiotic free, that they would be serving antibiotic free chicken. And just last week, they made a public announcement, and listen, bless their hearts for doing so. Most outfits would never do that. Burger King about 8 years ago pledged within 10 years to not have any caged eggs, to use only cage-free chickens for their eggs. Well, I don't think they're going to make it. And I don't think when they don't make it, they're going to go back and say, well, we made a promise we couldn't keep, and we're sorry we couldn't keep it. Chick-fil-A did. So I salute Chick-fil-A for having the fortitude and the whatever, the integrity to say, we made a pledge, we didn't make it, we're not going to make it, and it ain't going to happen. But that was a pretty big deal. And
Wait, so their pledge was to not source chickens that were fed antibiotics.
That's correct.
Right? That's what you're saying. And so now they're saying they're not going to, they can't achieve that.
That's correct.
They failed. So their chickens still have antibiotics, and
yes.
Are they not going to try anymore? They said it's just too difficult to do it.
Probably not, just too difficult. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There was a division of Tyson's that was trying to work with Chick-fil-A on a medication-free chicken, and because Chick-fil-A gets so much chicken from Tyson, that was kind of their partner in this, and they just couldn't make it happen. Couldn't make it work.
Is this back? Yeah, I was gonna say that, is this back to the fact because of the way that they're raised in the CAFOs?
Yes, absolutely. You can't live in your toilet and be clean and be hygienic and sanitary, and these chickens, when they put 20,000 in a house and they live, in their toilet, they sleep and walk and live their whole life right where they in their poop, and the dust is fecal particulate that comes up into their mucous membranes. It's, it's not a it's like inhaling poop sandpaper
Oh,
all day
gross.
every day. So
Thanks for that stark visual.
if you don't think inhaling poop is bad enough, combine it with sandpaper, and
Mm.
you get what we're dealing with here. So
So do you
anyway,
think that it's just cost prohibitive? Like, so Tyson can't like just start creating, outdoor areas where they just are raising chickens outside? Like, you know what I mean? Is it just it
well,
costs so much money that it's passed on to the consumer and they won't buy the food? Like what is it?
oh, Cena, uh, the,
Do I
the
sound
problem.
naive?
Yes, you sound naive. I mean, you got to realize that these big companies, they think that any wild bird, any wild bird that comes into the vicinity of the chickens is going to kill all the chickens. And so the
Oh,
idea of an outdoor situation, I mean, they're using um, um, timer noise cannons. They're doing everything possible to make sure that even a starling, a blackbird, a bluebird, a robin cannot cannot come within 100 yards of these big Tyson chicken houses. They're doing
oh,
everything possible, and so I mean, they're so far removed in their paradigm from well, an ecologically embedded model that they can't even conceive of such a thing.